Well, hello. It's the Too Much Dip podcast. It's Monday. Super Bowl week. Big game. Super Bowl LIX.
Just thinking about all the treats and snacks I'm going to eat for Super Bowl Sunday, man.
I think I'm just going to order wings.
What?
Yeah. Some hummus, too.
No one has a Super Bowl party anymore. Are we just at that age? Like, no one wants to go through the effort?
I think you just don't get invited.
That might be it, too.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. No, the Bolins had one last year. It was very family. There's a lot of people, a lot of kids. Let me just say that. And let me tell you, Dylan. Kids will really fuck up a Super Bowl party.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't have gone.
There's nothing wrong with
offense.
I kind of just want to stay home and order wings, like I said. Not have to feign interest in the game. That way I can put on I don't know, maybe an episode of The Traders or something if things aren't going my way. But then again, then you get like the squares and the whole betting thing and the hummus. You can do hummus at home.
Ooh, bell peppers and hummus. Ooh wee.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that later. Dylan's here. There he is.
I'm here. Happy to be here, man. Ready to talk ball of all shapes. You know, football's a shape. Basketball. Right. Those are kind of the only shapes, but.
Sure. Spherical. Randy's here producing.
Hi, Dave. I really just watched Super Bowl for the commercials.
Yeah. In Taylor.
Oh, my God. I can't wait.
Just hear the Grammy.
Can you believe that Kendrick Lamar is going to be performing after he just won Record of the Year?
Randy's on a 2-day hangover. And he's on his goofiest behavior, so just bear with us. We're doing our best.
I am also currently wearing my Arby's meat suit that I got at the game day when they was here at Austin, Texas, because it's pretty cold in this place. But I'm the only one that feels it.
Randy, I'm worried. Yeah, I'm worried that you might be.
I might just be going into shock.
Your fever syrup.
Baseline temperature is just really weird. I think he does these walks in Austin in like August at 2 p.m. He just goes for a walk for like 30 minutes. He comes back just a sweaty mess, and he loves them.
Mm-hmm.
He's weird.
It's my warm up walks because I need to warm my soul up because I get too cold.
Okay.
KJ, give us a weather update up around Wisconsin way.
It is getting sticky. Tyler, the creator, once said. It's just kind of wet, gross. We had 50 degrees over the weekend, but nobody really actually cares about the weather here. I think we're all, we know where this podcast is going, and it's really to focus on what the hell's going on with USAID and maybe looking into its sordid history and how we got here.
Well, what do you think, Dylan?
I don't have any comments on that.
Okay. I guess we'll move on.
Next topic.
Yeah, we got a big show, so we'll jump right into it. Always, as always, give a shout out to our friends at Roback. Use code WASHED20. I mean, Dylan's rocking a Roback hoodie right now. I've got Roback workout gear in the car. That includes shorts and a shirt, hats. What else? Golf polos, notably, everything.
Joggers, hoodies, you name it, they got it.
Yeah.
And the stuff's fantastic. The women's line is fantastic too.
Oh, is it?
Chelsea can attest to that. She's my lady friend, and she wears it all the time.
Does she?
She does.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I'll have to ask her about that next time she DMs me.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like that.
Dude.
We're taking off the gloves today, guys.
Dang.
We just DM. No, check it out.
DMing, huh?
Coach, use code WASH20, please. I'm going to power through this, but I got to tell you, headphones are not busting today. Just kind of something weird going on here, Randy. And I'd ask you to fix it, but you can't because you drank Saturday.
Yeah.
He drank earlier this month.
He did. He drank for the first time. He broke his dry January. Did you hear about this?
Okay, that makes sense then. Yeah, I believe he deserves a little grace.
Does that mean your body just gets accustomed to not having alcohol, and that when you do finally break that, like it's like a fucking nuclear blast went off?
I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
I don't know.
Well, how did it feel, you fuck?
Felt pretty fucking good to be drinking again, boys. You know what I'm
Did
saying?
it hit different?
Oh, dude, it hit same as always. It was like hugging a long lost friend.
Ah, Jesus.
Glugging a long
saw-
lost friend.
Oh yeah, you know what I'm doing.
That's fun.
Randy's. If you ask Randy what it was, he's gonna hit you with like some soju or some shit, though. So I'm not even gonna go there.
Oh God. Yeah, you can only get it in the Andes Mountains.
Made it myself.
Luka's a Laker. Lakers.
Getting right into it, huh?
He's a Laker, Dylan.
Yeah.
KJ's a Laker.
Kind of a big trade situation over the weekend.
Yeah, and I'll be honest. I didn't know we were going to talk about it at length on Circling Back. We didn't talk about like the nitty gritty, but my experience with it. And I don't really want to go through that again. I don't really want to talk about that again.
Okay.
I just want to talk about like the actual like.
I'll go fuck myself.
No.
Listen to Circling Back.
Because here's the deal. KJ had a front row seat. KJ, our group text. I'm in a group text with Jake, KJ, and Landry. 3 Mavs fans. Jake being a supreme knower of ball. That's where the most of my.
Yeah, you were so quiet in the other group chat of which I am a part, and you were so quiet. I was like, he's just going through it. I'm gonna, just let it be. Let him resurface whenever he's good and ready. But good to know you were talking it out with other ball knowers.
Well, Jake was asleep. And so it's just me, Landry, and KJ. Jake must have woken up to about 200 texts because we were all like, Landry was at a wedding, so he was probably tuned up. It was Saturday, so I was tuned up. And KJ was probably just out there eating cheese curds.
It's just finishing off an episode of American Primeval. Getting real deep into that show, and then
It's a good
I
show.
got hit with a all caps "What the fuck" text.
What's up with Brigham Young?
The nose on the guy is something fierce. A niche reference, and probably unnecessary to go to this route, but like if you recall the Youth of the Nation video by POD,
I do.
music video, opens up with real knee jerker, real shocking intro where a car gets T-boned, and then the rest of the video happens in slow motion as the car's like tossing and turning through an intersection. Solid little, and maybe I'm thinking of Alive, not Youth of the Nation. Might be getting mixed up. But either way, that's kind of what getting a text with no context saying what the fuck, because there was no other attachment to that message that I saw, at least. And the ensuing 2 to 3 minutes was probably the most like, did I fuck something up? Did we piss off Landry? Because this came from Landry. Like my brain just went to the worst places. I'm like, did somebody say something online or post something that like would have actually pissed off Landry? Because it seemed very aggressive. And every text after that got no less aggressive. Like, I think I tried to laugh it away briefly, but it was like 2 a.m. before things kind of simmered down of like different stages of like, what the fuckness. But yeah, it was tough. Very, very tough.
I found myself just staying up, refreshing Twitter, just hoping that like I was going to find out that this was all some mistake or that the NBA had invalidated the trade. And that's a really, really sad place to be. I was like 1 a.m. rolled around and I was like, yep, well, I'm going to wake up and this is going to be top of mind and I'm going to check my phone. It's not going to be any better.
I learned that Landry's coping mechanism is to just tweet through it. He was very active on Twitter. I felt bad for the guy. He was not his best day. I feel for you guys. I do. That's tough.
It has since surfaced that Rob Pelinka, who orchestrated this with Nico Harrison, originally
Lakers, right? Or
right,
basketball, whatever his title is.
He originally was supposed to include multiple first-round picks. And he somehow convinced Nico, like, dude, Luka's kind of a liability with the weight stuff and the drinking, which when I keep seeing stuff about the drinking come up, I follow the Mavs very, very closely. I like to think, and I've got friends, a friend, KJ,
Direct sources.
people who they would never go out of the scope of their employment and tell us something. But we would know if Luka was known as a partier or a guy who had a problem with the bottle. That stuff is never even been a thing. There was the video that people were making way too much of after they won the West last year, where Michael Finley grabs a beer out of his hand, clearly is like kind of a joke. I think everybody was aware of that. And people are like, oh, dude, wow, we should have known. We should have seen this coming. No, he was celebrating the fact they just won the West and the kid had a beer. The 24-year-old, 25-year-old kid.
So is there something to that?
No. And there's a photo of him and Boban like on an off day eating lunch, and they both are having a beer. There's never been somebody did a screen grab or like a Snapchat screen grab, and it was like Luka was out at fucking Zaza last night, closed it down, probably dropped like 30 grand on a table.
Dude's allowed to have a beer.
It's insane. So that to me, unless he's a dude who just stays home and just pounds beers, and we just don't know it, that is not a thing. Now, the weight and conditioning thing, that has been the knock on him for a while. People like to point to like his first couple years and how he was faster and thinner
when he was 17.
When he was a fucking kid.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, his body filled out. He was literally 19. He was 18 or 19. Like, you look different. Even if you work out and stuff, like you are going to add mass, bone mass, muscle mass, fat. It happens. But he would never be confused as somebody who like has like a LeBron like work ethic, which makes this a lot more interesting. And I think people, even though LeBron's 40, it's like, is he going to go over there and just like LeBron's going to take him under his wing and they're just going to become like, he's going to get the best out of Luka possible? That very well might happen.
But in LeBron's career, who has he done that to? Like somebody who's, sorry, let me back up and pause. He's obviously won with a lot of people around him and carried a lot of teams. But I think LeBron's more of the type of like, you need to catch up and get on my level or you're not going to be around. So maybe you could say that would be the LeBron influence, but to the degree where people are assuming like, oh no, LeBron's going to have him staying at the house and, in a hyperbaric chamber and all this bullshit and like actively taking on this role. I don't see it happening. I don't see Luka complying or wanting to do that. I think lost in all this mix is, didn't Luka just become a dad over the last year too?
Yeah.
Like not saying anybody needs to get any grace in that instance, but like there's a human element to all of this. We just kind of alluded to with like youth and age and all of that. But like, I think those things impact how people's careers and things in that nature go. So I think all that's bullshit. But if at the end of the day, the team did not want to commit $350 million to him and give him a supermax, which as of now, there's not a single team in the league who would also have made that decision that I'm aware of, based on the feedback that we've seen. It's just asinine.
Yeah.
And heartbreaking, devastating. Like it's absurd. And I don't know. I'm glad that I don't live local anymore to be like unavoidably inundated with it. My mom called me today because they were like live shotting the Mavs, like taking down the banners outside of the stadium. Like that was local news.
Oh yeah.
During the midday news. Like, yeah, they posted a clip, but like that was just on TV for everybody who was just watching Wheel of Fortune or whatever, was now aware. And so like, I'm glad I'm not in that bubble anymore. But I'll have to say like, it's very, very, very tough to feel like the level of passion as a Mavs fan that I've had, much more casual than others just because basketball's not my primary sport of fandom. But like, I mean, I've gone to a game probably last 2 or 3 years. I feel like I don't foresee that happening again. Unless somebody's looking to buy a ticket to when the Mavs play the Lakers.
This guy.
And
Man,
No, tell Dylan what you did in the midst of all this. As the
So
bullets are
if this
flying.
news dropped, I don't know, 10:15. By, I don't know, 11:15, I'd purchased 2 tickets from Ticketmaster to the Mavs play the Lakers twice. Once in LA coming up in like 2 or 3 weeks, and then once in Dallas in April. And I immediately pulled up Ticketmaster,
Smart.
found like anywhere between reasonable and like, okay, this is a waste, like last seats in the house, like decent-ish tickets. I was like, F it, purchase.
Smart.
He's gonna try to flip them.
Yeah, you should. That's a smart. That's a smart.
It's already at like 180% of purchase price.
Wow.
And
Good for you.
I've told the story in the past. I regret buying my wife tickets to go see Adele at Frank Irwin or whatever it used to be in Austin years ago, because I bought them for Christmas and the concert was in November the following year. And there were like headlines throughout the year. Ticket prices to the Adele concert, like 4 digits. And I certainly did not spend that. And all year long, all I did was like just trying to convince her to be like, I mean, we can go see her somewhere else. Let's just sell these.
Yeah,
And
you
I wasn't
mentioned
able to.
you mentioned not wanting to buy tickets to a Mavs game now, and I talked a little bit about this on Circling Back. But other than just like the basketball part of the decision making here, is it like our marketability decision, like a business, like a pure business decision? Like you need a superstar on your team to market the team and sell tickets and sell jerseys and et cetera, et cetera. It's just, it's weird.
Well, Dylan, we've got 3.
3 NBA title winning individuals, but it doesn't
One-
feel like you've got it.
One is one will always be the guy who we traded to get. We traded our baby boy away to get. Also, his nickname is Street Clothes,
Right.
because he doesn't play a lot of games. And the other
You got
guys,
Kyrie still.
others, Kyrie, who has become an absolute fan favorite. Everyone in Dallas, I think, has been very, very happy with the Kyrie experience.
Look-
Kind of tough to market.
Luka's your 25-year-old superstar who you drafted,
Mm-hmm.
who led you to the finals,
He did.
who 5-time All NBA, whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
who probably has another, I don't know, 8 good years in him.
Let's talk about that in a minute.
It's just fucking crazy.
I do want to talk about that because even I watched this whole thing. I watched the Mavs, especially with like the cynic in me. It's not a healthy way to watch it, but I'm always thinking like when Luka hurt his calf this year, I was like, oh man, I was thinking, dude, he's 25. He has a ton of basketball miles on him. From playing professionally since he was a kid to playing in like for the Slovenian national team, he's got a lot of miles, right? And he's a 6'7" point guard. Big body, as we've talked about, and doesn't have the best, from what we understand, diet and conditioning practices. So there's a lot of times where I'm watching him and I'm like, this is awesome. I don't know how long we can do this at this level. And he is good enough to where, some players' games, when they lose athleticism, when they get older, it's pointless for them to be out there. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
It's like they're a liability now. They don't have that. They're on the wrong side of 30 or whatever. And with him, with his skill, you can see it's still working. But I used to think, watching him, especially when the injuries kind of started happening, I'm like, he seems like he's always banged up. He falls a lot. And it's like, I mean, what really, like, he's in his prime, but what's his prime going to
Yeah, but
last? 4 or 5, I'm not saying like that I
he's
would have ever
such-
entertained dealing him, but 4 or
he's
5 more years.
Such a skilled, bigger guy. Like his game is not, like, he's not going to out athlete anybody. Like he's not like a high flying, get up and down the court guy. He's like a very skilled, like James Harden type of just offensive freak. And so I can see him losing a step and still being like a really
Sure.
good, 25 points a game guy.
Agree. I just, you just wonder about like how he'll hold up his body wise. And like the scary thing about that calf strain is like, I only know this because of the talk about it when it happened. But like, if you come back too early, you're kind of putting your Achilles at risk. That's what happened with KD. I'm assuming that's what happens with other guys. That kind of the calf issue is like a precursor to the Achilles, because the Achilles attaches to that muscle.
Yeah.
Whatever. I'm getting over my skis here, but I don't know, man. Anyway, it is not worth
Can I
dealing
ask
him
this
for.
question?
Yes.
Let's say you knew definitively, like without question, after 2 years, Luka was going to take a 30% drop in productivity and maybe a 10 to 15% drop on impact on the game. And, I think those two are different. If you understand what I'm saying, like maybe he's not scoring as much, but his presence will affect the game in other ways. Look at LeBron.
Yeah.
But let's say his impact on the game decreases and his productivity is going to drop 30%. You knew this without a doubt. Whether it was medicals, doesn't matter. A shaman told you this. Would you be happy with the move like this? I don't think anybody's happy with how this move happened, the lack of competition, what you got, blah, blah, blah. Don't care. Would you be happy with the move being made right now? Even if you knew that was 2 years out? Because I can probably say for me, fuck it, I'd rather watch it burn. Like, I'd rather see what we can make around him. And at some point it turns into like, how can you surround and support and win for him? Much like Dirk post-championship, like it became about not getting more out of him, but like, what can you do to like support that career, that legend? And Luka hadn't won a title. And let's say he doesn't those next years. I still feel like he would have earned, okay, pieces still need to be brought in to complement you having a once-in-a-lifetime player on your team, even if it was only for a decade.
I'm team ride it out. Like, the player over the team for me. Like, it was Dirk for me, and it took a little bit, but it was Luka over, you know what I mean? Like, even if I think that this combination of guys on the Mavs right now, even if I thought that they have a great chance of getting a title this year, which I don't really see that happening, it would still be the weirdest. Like, it would feel weird, and it would feel weird. You know what I mean? And I would be like, my fandom is going to follow Luka to LA. Like, I will watch Laker games on League Pass. They're probably about to all be on ESPN and TNT anyway. But I'm going to watch him there, and I'm going to pull for him. And yeah, I think when you have a guy like that and that you draft, and I mean, fuck, dude, I know more about him than I've known about like any athlete maybe I've ever like followed, right? I mean, because from like Slovenia, like I was looking at vacations in Slovenia and shit. I'm like, that's how invested you are. And like, even like, I know what can set him back. I know like the pros and cons, how he gets pouty, and I hate how he does it. And it's just like, dude, I'm so invested in this guy. I've got to ride this out. I got to see where this thing goes. And I always thought that if he left, it would be on his terms, because they weren't able to get a team that could compete for at the highest level. And that's when he would want to leave. But that is not at all how it played out.
How do you feel about what the Mavs got in return? Obviously, Anthony Davis is a great basketball player, but the draft capital seems like a little light.
I mean, first of all, they made the trade mid-season.
Because if I'm a Mavs fan and like, let's say 2 or 3 first-round picks in return, like, okay, this sucks, this stings. I hate to see Luka go. Let's see how it plays out over the next 5 years or whatever. But there's just not enough there.
No, and that is because of the way they went about it. And they went about it by not involving any other teams, not letting anybody know that he was even up for a trade.
Right.
And the reason they did that, I think some people were kind of failing to understand that. Not that I agree with it, but if word gets out that they're willing to trade Luka, and that's like a thing, and Luka can totally fuck that, because like, let's say like they have a trade in place with Miami, Luka can absolutely say, well, I'm not going to Miami. I'm not playing there. I won't. So, and they'll be like, well, we'll send you there anyway. And he'll say, I'll never sign an extension in Miami. and boom, next thing you know, that's off the table. So that's why you can't let people know that you're shopping a guy when that guy he could totally ruin your leverage, ruin the bargaining process you have for it. So it's fucking weird. And yeah, I mean, if Rudy Gobert got 4 firsts from Minnesota to go to, from Utah, I mean, I don't know what does Luka get?
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. Yeah. So Anthony Davis is awesome when he's healthy and out there. And like they're gonna be if they're healthy, they're gonna be a really good defensive team, like really, really good. Weirdly, they were a good defensive team last year when they went to the finals. You just saw the moments of Luka not being able to guard like a, Jason Tatum type, like a speedy guy around the perimeter.
I mean, very few can though, especially with how that team is constructed, and they were constructed because of moves that did not go down like this. Sorry, my whole setup today has thrown me off, and I fucked with my light.
Yeah, it's producer week.
No, it's all me. When you roll out a team that's now going to be Anthony Davis, who does not want to play center, big as hell, but doesn't play 5 per se. Derek Lively, or Daniel Gafford playing 5 again, presumably. I don't know if they've said clearly if any other moves were to be made. I think that's what I woke up Sunday expecting. Like, oh, you know how you see some trades underreported that there was more to it, or that they're shopping something else and in like conjunction with this.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that door's been closed. There's a little bit of time left against the trade deadline, but you've got Clay, Kyrie, Anthony Davis, Lively or Gafford, and Najee, or who else would be on the floor? Or PJ. Yeah. So like a very talented team to roll out there. I don't know how like wonderful you feel about your depth. Not like you had it before, but you've got a strong team. I've shared it in the text. Might as well share it here. Historically, the Mavs have always been knocked, at least throughout the Cuban era and the Don Nelson era, for being exceptionally white, or I should say exceptionally non-black and like everything but black at times. From Wang Juju to Eddie Nahara to Steve Nash to Maxi Kleber to Luka to Dirk. Any and everything because of how strong their international scouting team has been over the years, given Dirk and Luka's success. But as it stands right now, you've got a 2-way contract with Kyle something or other, who's a center that's
the white
on the
guy?
team. Yes. And that's his role right now. He is the lone representative of the Aryan Nation. I don't know if that's a formal word. Maybe that's not appropriate.
I don't know if it is. I think that's a prison game.
Yeah, I think that's inappropriate. I don't know what the formal term would be. He's the only white on the team, which, it is Black History Month, but as some would say, not my Mavs. This ain't your granddaddy's Mavericks anymore. And
we need to go get a Euro. We gotta go. They're
it's
out
like
there.
A weird reverse DEI situation.
Mm-hmm.
They were forcing too much diversity on their team relative to the rest of the league, and now there's like, to hell with it.
Yeah, God, dude, there was like never a white Euro that Mark wasn't given a look at. I was like, well, here's a guy.
I can name at
least
Kristaps. 7. Yeah, JJ Perea, Kristaps. Like, again, non-black here is kind of the target, given that you're dealing with a league that's like 70% plus, if not more. And now on the flip side, you've got the Lakers who have Dalton Connect, Austin
Reeves,
Maxey,
and Luka.
And that's the underreported part. And I don't know why I'm just such a P for Maxey, like an appreciative of him. I think he's a quality ad, but like nobody's mentioning that that's, a part of this package, given that he was not being used by the Mavs with Gafford and Lively. And I feel like that's a contributor. He's going to get minutes in LA, given that they have no bigs now.
Yeah, the Lakers, I think, are still they're in the rumors for like Nick Claxton off the Nets, but They need a big. They need a center. If they find the right center, they're going to be really, really good this year. But LeBron's also 40. I don't know. It would make my day if like we had a Lakers Thunder like first or second round series and Luka just continued his dominance over the Thunder. Nothing would make me happier. That would honestly make me more happy than if the Mavs.
Suns would be a happier out for me. Like I don't hate the Thunder as much just because I like seeing SGA. It is fun to just see Luka just torch them, but the Suns would be an easier one to root against.
That's fair. That is fair. I don't know, man. There's gonna be stuff leaking out for the next. I don't know. The Mavs are gonna probably have. Nico's gonna probably see what public perception is. He probably already knows it. He definitely already knows it, but he's gonna see like that it's coming out that he could have had more. So I expect somebody with the Mavs to start leaking some not so flattering things about Luka and his habits. So it might get a little bit more ugly. Like you've already heard from Luka's dad talking to Slovenian TV, and he's not happy. So I don't know, man.
I love that he focused in on Luka's willingness to go see sick children at hospitals. It's like a sign that, hey, he's a great contributor, which again, it is impressive to see, but I love that it's viewed as like, hey, he absolutely didn't have to go do that, and he did.
Probably had to, actually. I feel like that shit's mandated by teams.
At some point, he probably needed to go do those things.
Those things don't feel above and beyond anymore in professional sports.
What, if any, of the conspiracy theories are you willing to entertain and or like are worth even like breathing air into? Do you have any that appeal to you?
I will listen to all of them. And to people who don't know, people who are casuals, the new ownership group of the Mavericks, they are Las Vegas people. They are the billionaires that own the Sands casinos. They are also extreme Trump people, big donors. These are very, very powerful people. That's kind of not that related to this, but you should know these are hitters. These are hitters. And the theory, a lot of it is, well, this is just step one in getting the team out of Dallas and into Vegas, which
unless
we get gambling in Texas and they can build their casino.
That's where the like Trump part comes back in, because there are significant contributions to GOP causes in Texas coming from their owners with the intent of lobbying for getting bills put to vote for gambling. But if that does not look promising, which right now it does not in Texas.
Mm-hmm. I haven't been following this that closely, but like how did the tariffs come in effect to this?
No, I think the Texas tariffs they'll keep playing in Arlington. I mean, they were in the World Series not too long ago. But
the Texas tariffs.
I get that their name's not sheriffs and it's Rangers, and I realized that after I started in on that joke, but I'm riding with it. I'm just riding with it.
Just curious how long where that was going to end up. But I don't know. But it's the Adelsons. It's Miriam Adelson. And like, so Cuban, a lot of people want to dunk on Cuban. Cuban didn't even know about this shit. That's so he's a minority owner.
Seriously?
Now.
Dirk didn't know about it. Cuban didn't know. Jason Kidd got told at the last minute.
This is Nico Harrison and Patrick Dumont.
Was Jason Kidd told before it actually?
No. Right?
After it was agreed to, before it was like fully signed and executed.
How can you not run it by
basically
cubes? He's not the majority owner.
Like I know you have the authority, but like
you're the GM, man, and you make the tough choices. This is a fucking put your balls on the table. Your career, your entire future in the league. If this. You've got about 2 to 3 years. In 2 to 3 years, we're going to know like how history will look at Nico Harrison. Like that's how, because this is a short-term play. They think they've got a window of 2 to 3 years, and they think getting AD is a big step in the right direction, and Luka was not in getting a championship. So we will know, because if like the Mavs don't win a title in the next 3 years, it is an absolute failure. There's no doubt in my, like, to me, and I think to everybody would agree with that. And this is the same Nico Harrison people just discovered. He is the exec for who was previously the exec for Nike, who botched the pitch to Steph Curry that ended up with Steph Curry going to Under Armour. So he's the guy who dropped the ball there. And that was kind of what he was known for. Now, he was widely respected as a Nike exec when he became the GM of the Mavs.
Yeah.
But
Anthony Davis's rep as well, whether that matters, who knows. Worked directly with Rob Pelinka when he was at Nike. So, like, there's a lot of ties in the background. But.
Yeah, but, like, this is not a thing that we're going to have to wait 5 or 10 years to know if, like, he's going to look like an absolute moron or like a fucking evil genius. Because,
but barring injury, I don't think we have to wait more than 5 months. Like, if this, the loss against the Cavs meant nothing, had nothing to do with this. They're going to lose to the Cavs by a lot, and they lost by more.
No one played. That was so silly.
The Cavs had 91 in the first half, which was just poetic, like beautiful to see. But let's say that there are no clear injuries to Kyrie, AD, and
Clay,
Clay or
Big
PJ.
if.
Like, and I don't mean like, oh, strains and could have played, could have fought through, who knows, kept him out, and maybe they just missed and they're playing, blah, blah. Like, if there are no clear cut out for several months type injuries and this team sputters and is ineffective or gets bounced in a playing game, I don't think that new owners care about fan reaction clearly, but I would be shocked if this isn't looked at as like we also feel like there's only 2 months or 2 years to get this done. Are you the right one to get it done in 2 years now that you've pulled this plug? Like, do we need to get somebody who can get it done in 2 years? Like, I don't think you get a 2-year guarantee for him.
There's no in between. It's either the worst trade in sports history, or it's the balls. I don't know if you could say the best, because you could point to a lot. It's definitely the ballsiest, and like will be. You know what I mean? Like it's either all or nothing. It's pretty.
KD was just an off-season signing, and I'm just trying to think of like holy shit that happened type moments like that. And I would have probably said that, and it paid off. But obviously, that was an individual decision. Yeah, I don't know. Somebody said like this is like trading Mahomes after they lost their first Super Bowl. I would keep it simple and say this is trading, Joe Burrow now. Like that's what you're dealing with. A city who had no hope as far as being a valuable team in modern day NFL. Burrow's changed that narrative, and you ship him off right now. Like that's what you're dealing with.
And literally, like, it is all on you. Like the fact that you are you cooked this up, and you've been very transparent. Nobody else. This isn't going to go Mark Cuban. This will be just you, and you are potentially going to set the organization back a long, long time because we don't have draft picks. That 2029 pick we got from this trade. I mean, 2029, Luka's still going to be a Laker. They're probably going to be a playoff team.
So they do have their first this year. Next, is that accurate? I'm trying to
maybe
confirm that, but after that they have nothing. And
I don't know.
I don't know enough. But either way,
there's a good chance once we hit stop on this pod, like the Mavs have made another trade. So
Jimmy Butler and Rachel Nichols coming to Dallas.
Oh God, no! Please don't. Please don't. I've said my piece.
Thank you for indulging.
Still sad.
I'm sorry, Dave.
That's sports, man. Stars look good. Poised to make a cup run. They're making some moves. If the Stars will make a run, I am going to be so over the top into the Stars. People are going to be like, all right, just stop. You're doing a bit. And I'm not. I'm just compensating.
Hey, the Cowboys are trading for Myles Garrett, so that's cool.
Let's talk. Okay. Let's talk Myles Garrett. But before we do, let's talk about our good friends at DraftKings. This ain't the little itty bitty teeny tiny bowl, Dylan.
No, certainly not.
This is Super Bowl LIX. What's that mean in Roman numerals? Can you guys guess?
Wait, what's the number again?
LIX. LIX.
59.
59.
59.
Yeah. L is 50, and then IX is 9.
Get in on the action. at the DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 59 or Super Bowl LIX. Scoring touchdowns is key to hoisting the Vince Lombardi trophy. We were just talking about that. Like whichever team, Dylan, scores the most points, that team is going to hoist that trophy.
Facts.
And you have a shot to score big by betting on them. At DraftKings Sportsbook, the number one place to bet touchdowns. New DraftKings customers can bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code WASHED. That's code WASHED for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas. 21 plus. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. New customers only. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. Future Cowboy Myles Garrett, former Arlington Martin Warrior.
Once out of
Warriors.
Cleveland.
KJ, how familiar
I
with?
did not.
I know you didn't run up against him, but were you aware that he was a beast in high school?
No, he is probably a good 6 or 7 years behind, maybe even further than that. Young enough to be the point where close friend Mike Marshall, we won't talk about where else he may work, but he was early in his career in covering high school athletes and was like fortunate enough to cover Myles Garrett in high school, like out of college, like while Mike was in college. Myles Garrett invited him back to do his draft party. And so he's been like a connection over the years. But no, I did not overlap. I'd love to see what he looks like in black and teal.
Well, he said he wants to go to a winning franchise.
So I think both of our teams are out, unfortunately.
Yeah, I was about to say that puts us both in a bad position.
Yeah, he basically said that he has requested a trade and he wants to go to a contender. He wants to play for a ring. Being from Arlington, you would think he probably grew up a Cowboys fan and might like to be in Dallas, but that kind of doesn't jive with what he just said about wanting to go to a contender.
Given his age, I'm wondering, like
29.
I mean,
dude, Parsons and Myles Garrett. That's pretty stupid.
That's insane. But look, there's no doubt they're kicking the tires on this.
Oh yeah.
Look, Jerry, here's the deal about Jerry. Everybody joked about how Jerry's this Luka stuff really takes him off the hot seat and how he's probably loving it. You think he's loving the Mavs owning the Mavs getting shouts out, jokes made about them at the Grammys and getting all the attention and not the Cowboys? No. It's splash time. It's splash time in Frisco at the Star. And thinking they can do a lot with that first. I don't know. But that Myles Garrett, what's he got? 2 more years on his deal? We talked about this.
I think that's what you said earlier when you looked it up. Yeah.
We were looking at what Khalil Mack got as a comp. We were just we were throwing out like potential packages, and that one was pretty nuts.
I think it included 3 first-round picks.
It's probably a haul that you'll never see
Schefter,
again.
I believe, tweeted it earlier if you want to look it up.
Khalil Mack, 2 first-round picks,
okay,
a 3rd-round pick, a 6th-round pick, a 2nd-round pick, and a conditional 5th-round pick. And a lot of GMs are saying that'll never happen again, and that's definitely not going to happen here. But I don't know. If you're all in, if you're Buffalo, you're the Bills, you convince Myles, like, dude, you just played in Cleveland. Come on up Buffalo way. You thought that weather was shitty. Check this out.
Come up the area and see what it really is. I think the Browns are a stubborn franchise. And I don't see this being resolved anytime soon until they know whether or not they can get from under Deshaun Watson's deal. And
Good point.
I think the unfortunate thing for the Browns, like, I don't think they're a great franchise to support, but as a person who supports an unwinning franchise like Jacksonville, I'm not here to knock them. Myles Garrett called out like not seeing a path to success or something like that, or like, this is not a team that's been apathetic, or like, the Browns have been trying. They're in a very difficult division, but they have made as many moves as were available to them. Getting Kareem Hunt, going after Deshaun Watson, regardless of what you think of him or any of that, like, that was the biggest move they could make, and they went to go make it. Maybe not the smartest, but it was the biggest opportunity they had. Signed a ton of defensive players over the years. Zadarius Smith was there for a couple of years. They've been willing to fire coaches and then keep coaches, when they're good. Like, they've been given their current coach, like, probably 2 years too many. But I don't think the Browns are like the worst run organization. They've made one tremendously regrettable, irrecoverable decision in signing Deshaun Watson to an unhealthy amount of money guaranteed. But outside of that, what else? Like, I feel like they're less incompetent than maybe Dallas has been in some of these same moments. But that's just an outsider's view.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of was thinking about like who, if they were to make a move, who could actually do it and where he would want to go. And the one that kind of scares me is Washington, because they are a contender and they do need some to make moves on defense. Like, their defense was not great. As you saw on the first play from scrimmage in that game.
Daniel's on a rookie deal for 3 more years.
Yeah. I think that, I don't know. That would suck as a NFC East guy, but I don't know. I've always liked him. Dylan's boys with him. Dylan goes to Zilker with Myles Garrett, apparently. I completely forgot you saw him down there.
Yeah, I took my dog to Zilker Park here in Austin, for those unaware. And this was like, it wasn't crowded. Just a few people at the park. I look up and Myles Garrett is just walking through with his girlfriend or something. It was just really random. It's like, oh, that's a very large man.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh my God, that's Myles Garrett. Anyway, pretty cool. Big dude.
He's like a walking wall.
All arm.
And I don't know that I saw him to be that big, like, before, early in his career, like coming out of A&M or early years. I feel like he's only gained mass like throughout his arms.
His arms are just like JJ Watt, like big, but
Tyron Smith, like,
yeah,
level,
just
basically.
massive.
These are big
I was
guys.
trying to think of JJ Watt's last name for a second there, and I was stupid. Yeah,
That'd be another destination.
These
I'd
are
be
big
interested to
guys.
see if they could try to maneuver something there. Or I would also keep an eye on someone like the Rams, who are not afraid to make big moves like that. But yeah, who knows? He's got a big cap hit coming up next year. He's at $20 million in 2026, $20 million in 2025, and a $37 million year in 2027. But that is a voidable year where he could become an undrafted free agent. So, like, it's unlikely he was ever going to be getting that money on either side. They would have probably forced him to restructure, or he would have voided and come to new terms.
Before we talk Super Bowl, go ahead, KJ.
No. That's all I got. I was just looking at the contract.
I was gonna say, have I given my Rams theory? Not my Rams theory, but what I want the Rams to do. Have I talked about that? I know I've told Dylan.
Fix the off-white look on their jerseys, which we've all come to accept.
Mm-hmm. That's one. That's the first thing. Dude, I think they need to draft Quinn.
Oh yeah, I think we mentioned it in
Okay.
passing, but yeah,
I
agree with that sentiment.
I want that to be on the record because I'm typically wrong on this show, and I just have this thought of Quinn sitting a year behind Stafford and Quinn working really well with McVay. That's all. That's it. I just want to put that out there.
Wouldn't hate it.
I want to put it out
Stetson
there.
Bennett, they did the same thing there. So, I mean, they've tried that, and I think that everyone appreciates what Stetson Bennett is there, and he's been decent enough to hang on, but I don't foresee him as like a Colt McCoy type backup in the league in that role for a decade plus to come. So I think Quinn would be a nice addition in law.
I'm getting excited for the draft.
I'm more excited for the draft than I'm watching this damn Super Bowl.
Yeah, I love the draft.
I am.
Texas is supposed to put a ton of guys into the league this year, so I'm pumped for it. It's been a nice change.
Unhealthy amount of the Reese's Senior Bowl as SMU running back Brashard Smith was participating. And I got a healthy dose of Jalen Milroe in the third quarter, part of the fourth when he was the quarterback for when Brashard was out there. Takeaways from that game, a few really quick, actually, and I regret not sending Randy these images to put on screen. Damn it. Randy, if you're able to pull them from my Twitter on the fly, that'd be tremendous, but I don't know.
Good luck.
I'll see what I can do.
It's from Saturday. I don't think I have that many buried. Mr. Reese's is what I'm going to get to here. But to start with really quick, Jalen Milroe. Any scout or team that convinces you that this is a person to support as a quarterback of the future on your team, God bless you. And if it's the Jaguars, I'll support it. I think he's a winning quarterback, somebody who could be on a roster, but he is not the dude. And it is weird to see somebody who's really, really good throwing the ball deep and absolutely atrocious completing things from 15 yards and under. And I know that's been the knock on him, but seeing it live and like they weren't throwing deep balls. It's an all-star game. It's a bunch of check down plays. He couldn't do anything.
Okay.
It was really, really sad to watch.
I saw some tape on it from the game, and I agree. He looked really bad on short throws. Did they just hide this in their offensive scheme? Because I don't remember the guy like not being able to hit anything short, and then he gets to this new environment with like a different scheme, different personnel around him, and suddenly he can't fucking throw the ball. How does that happen?
A little bit it can be attributed to the fact that like the line play was poor for both teams. It was poor. And so like the successful plays came from like off timing throws, or trick plays or just like busted tackle and broken plays. So like whoever they had left tackle and left guard might've been like FCS division players just because of who was rotating at that time. So he didn't get a lot of help there. But it was rough to watch. Like in general, the game was a little bit choppy, which is always the case. But he was like very clearly bad, and it frustrated me. The only reason I even bring this up is because there were times where it's like, oh, just check it down to that running back there with a Mustang on his helmet, and let him show you what he's got, and it'd be at his feet, or he would throw it over somebody else's head, and it's like, all right, now I'm not even getting to see what I came here to see.
Yeah, I saw him throw like a 15-yard crosser, and it just right at some shoelaces. It was ugly.
I'd be happy to see it change, but I'm not a quarterback guru. I'm not like knocking this guy for the rest of the eternity. It just was a bad showing, and everything that kind of was being said about him kind of was backed up in that game. Okay. On, I guess the same side, TCU wide receiver, Andy Besh. It'd be great if I knew his first name. His last name is Besh, B-E-C-H. He had a hell of a game against Jack Besh. Thank you. And I may be remembering the other name because the other name is his brother's possibly. He had a hell of a game against SMU. When SMU got Sonny Dykes kicked out of the game, they put up 60 on TCU, but TCU started scoring in the third or fourth quarter when the game was out of hand. And a lot of it was because they were just throwing it up to this guy, and he was clearly a dude. A little bit David Boston-esque, big body, Anquan Bolden, if you will.
Wow.
That could move.
You didn't make a white guy comp, and for that you get Baltimore points, man. That's good
for
stuff.
you.
That's good stuff right there, KJ.
Couldn't think of a big white.
He's a white guy.
Ed McCaffrey pre-broken leg.
Yeah. Ed McCaffrey.
But no, big body dude, very, very talented. Plays with a lot of anger, and then he did in that SMU game, but I figured it was just rivalry game. Saw him later in the year, did the same thing. In this game, where quarterbacks were not completing passes, he had like 5 receptions going into the game. Whatever team goes down the field, and he catches the game-winning touchdown pass. I bring all of this up because if you're not familiar with who it is, unfortunately, his brother was one of the individuals hit and killed in New Orleans ahead of the Sugar Bowl, the college football playoff game on New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, or whatever.
Tiger
Caused that game to be
Bash.
delayed. Tiger Bash. See, new one, Andy. Whatever. But yeah, terrible story. His brother Tiger had played at Princeton and was a good football player as well. But I was very aware of the story, watching him in the game, like with this front of mind, as I'm sure a lot of TCU fans or people who knew of it were. I don't think they were highlighting it too much on air, especially not in that moment, because like not like you're rooting for one player in that moment. But once he was the one that scored, it clearly hit him. It hit the announcers, hit everybody. And rightfully so, like he immediately was like, everybody's mobbing him, celebrating. And I think either a dad or somebody like comes and embraces him. And you know how network shows and whatnot go. Like usually they're like, all right, and we're back to the booth. We're on to the next. Like they stuck with this post game for a good 10 minutes. And I would say 4 minutes was just him hugging his dad, like in pure tears. And I was standing in front of my TV damn near crying.
Yeah.
Like, burning eyes.
Yeah.
And I would not be ashamed to say I did if I were, but like it was a tough watch. And like all of a sudden out of the corner of the screen, you see like a dude in a lanyard motion over to a mascot, which catches my kid's attention. They're like, Dad, what's that guy doing? And I'm like, oh, he's crying. And I'm like beginning to try to think of how to present death to my kids. But little do I realize they're talking about fucking mascot Mr. Reese's, who like centers himself up behind the shot as he's doing like a post-game interview.
Yeah.
Intentionally trying to be the behind the camera guy as the guy's like basically saying he scored in the entire day, like carried the thought of his brother with him. And he said like, would I have rather come out here and tanked my draft stock, had a terrible day in order to exchange that for one more hug for my brother, or have this moment and like be able to represent him on a big stage? I'll take that terrible day any day. Like it was powerful.
Yeah, nobody told Mr. Reese's.
Met by chocolate and peanut butter.
He didn't know the story.
Jarring.
He
Yeah.
didn't know the backstory.
A sad, sad story, but a cool
you gotta,
moment.
yeah, you gotta keep your mascots apprised of any potential.
Hey, man, maybe just get out of frame here, pal.
He's like he
yeah.
takes one step and he realizes he's in the shot and he backs up and he's like looking. He's like,
He kept following, and then eventually, like, somebody clearly got the note and read the room and like grabbed his elbow and pointed him away. Just as clear as it was, somebody called him over. Somebody did the same to get him out of there. And I was shocked because at one point in time, Besh did kind of look over his shoulder and see that he was there. And like nobody cut to a different camera to allow like even the interviewer like in the ear to be like, hey, producer, can you shoo him off real quick? We'll cut back. But it was, man. I'll remember that when picking my heart-shaped candies for my kids this week.
well, you're probably not going to find that in your next HelloFresh delivery. I'll tell you that much right now. HelloFresh. With HelloFresh, you get farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. Tired of figuring out what's for dinner night after night, especially on those busy weekdays? We've all got kids. Get dinner done with the easy way. HelloFresh. That's where they come into play. I remember I walked home, or I got into my house the other day. I looked down. There's a HelloFresh box right there. Totally forgot we had that coming our way.
I went through them meals pretty quickly, Davey boy.
It's easy to find time to eat with 50 wholesome, hassle-free meals to choose from each week, delivered to your door. Anybody got any faves they want to shout out?
There was a chicken couscous dish that went mega hard.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Did you eat that one too?
I did eat that one.
That was
I didn't know how
delicious.
much I was missing couscous. Get you some fiber, Hoss.
Heck yeah, Hoss.
I've got a pasta that we did Friday. That was probably amongst the better dishes that has ever been put together by the other person that lives in this house of cooking age.
Wow.
And I give all of the credit to HelloFresh, and I mean all of this as a compliment to HelloFresh.
That sounds delightful. Get up to 10 free meals and free high-protein item for life at HelloFresh.com/bang10FM. That's Bang, the number 10 FM. One item per box with active subscription. Free meals applied as discount on the first box. New subscribers only. Varies by plan. That's up to 10 free HelloFresh meals. Just go to HelloFresh.com/bang10FM. HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. All right, Super Bowl. We're going to do it. I promise.
By Sunday, I feel like I'm going to be excited about it. Like, I got to the Grammys last night and I was like, oh, this is happening. But then eventually I was like, okay, whatever, I'll watch this. I feel like the Super Bowl is going to catch me in that same way. I hope.
I'll use it as an excuse to order. What's my wing place?
You said wings, and that started sounding real.
It do
good,
sound
real
good, doesn't
to a
it? Get you
player.
some wings with the bone in.
You got to hop on that pre-order. If you're a pro at this, you need to be doing an order ahead situation like today or tomorrow.
God, we don't have a Hooters nearby, sadly. The Eagles should absolutely win this game, but they won't.
They're not going to win this
The
game.
Chiefs will win this game because I will not bet against the Chiefs, and the Chiefs will find a way to win this game. But the Eagles, they have every right to win this game. They are fucking really, really, really good at every quarterback. They're but their D line's nasty. They're going to give Mahomes fits, but the Chiefs are going to win this game.
Yeah, that's pretty much exactly how I feel about it. I just don't see a scenario. The Eagles are very good. Like like you said, I wouldn't say they're not as good as the Chiefs. They're just not going to win this game. They're just not going to win. Because
Who would you be happiest for, like as an individual player or coach on either team? Like, is there a person like if they won, like great, you can go into supporting or rooting for that person? I would almost say Saquon, but for obvious reasons, I'm prevent myself from doing so.
I can't say Saquon because he just hopped on this roster. I want to say bandwagon. That doesn't make any sense. He's new to the team, so it's not like he brought the Giants to a Super Bowl after 5 years of mediocrity. God, I don't know. I mean, Xavier Worthy. That'd be cool if he got a ring his first year in the league.
Yeah. The three-peat, I feel like, is my biggest, Andy Reid's legacy is kind of what I feel like I'm rooting for.
I do love Andy Reid. He is a very
that's-
likable coach on a not very likable team.
I don't know.
Give me, the narrative. Look here, I won't root for the Eagles. There was a minute where I thought I had an argument in my head
There you
where I was
go.
like, but I won't root for the
No.
Eagles. I don't want to see Sirianni, but I don't respect the tush push, and it's enough to make me not want
Can't
that
stand it.
to happen. I don't care that Saquon Barkley had to play on a bad team. A lot of guys do. That's what happens.
Yeah.
Congratulations. You were a great player, and you were probably the MVP this year. But I can always – look, it would really suck to have to acknowledge the Eagles' great Super Bowl greatness as a Cowboy fan. The Chiefs, we already know they're great. Okay, they get a three-peat. Down the road, are people going to remember the three-peat? Or are they just going to remember they're the team that got all the fucking calls?
No,
and
they'll
it's
remember
even
the
backed
three-peat.
up by data. Everybody's showing it.
We're gonna see the fucking tush push 15 times on Sunday. Imagine
Man,
the
you
go
just-
ahead. Imagine the go ahead touchdown. The final minute is a fucking tush push, and they win the game.
That should be a
Got Chris Jones
Then
against the tush
This
push.
play needs to be outlawed. I know I've gone in on it already. I won't rehash that. I just can't fucking stand it. I can't stand it.
I'd rather
No
have
one-
I
Hello
1000%
Tush.
agree, but for some reason I hear it and it sounds like 1980s writer trying to outlaw the dunk. But
Except the dunk
completely
is
agree.
fucking exciting. This is the least exciting play in football history, and they do it over and over and over again. And
Oh.
it's unstoppable.
You know, this argument's probably been made by people far, far superior to me. You know what the worst part about it is? Not in addition to it's boring. You are relying on once again. We're relying on the refs to spot the ball in an impossible way.
Yeah, I know. He's
would-
buried under a mountain of players.
Yeah,
You're right.
they're
Yeah.
never
You're
gonna.
right.
They've probably. What's their actual? Would we ever know if they secretly had the ball chipped and we found out oh yeah, they're right 10% of the time on where they spot
At the
it.
Super Bowl, they have like 500 extra cameras in there too, and they're still like, yeah, we can't see.
They-
It's buried.
They the tush push, I would hate it a little bit less if the ball was chipped and we actually had it down to a science. But now it's just like, just mix it up. They probably got it. It's Jalen Hurts. He squats like 700 pounds. I don't know if you know that.
It gets 2 yards every play, so they're probably going to get it.
Yeah, fuck that, man.
I hate it.
Ugh.
I think
yeah,
you
I'll
just
pull for
made it
the
a lot
Chiefs.
easier for me to say, yeah, I'm rooting for the Chiefs. Because going into this, I didn't know who like I was going to be excited for. Rasheed Rice isn't playing, but of course, like it'd be cool to see. But yeah, I don't think I have much trepidation about this at all. I know we're already long here, but yeah, next week can we make some room for the fuck is going on with former Texas kicker? And then,
Yeah, we can. Yeah, we didn't avoid that on purpose, guys. I promise you, as a Longhorn fan.
Well, that dude
we
is
didn't
the
talk
happiest
to
guy
Sean
that
either.
Luka got traded. No one is happier
Like
that Luka got traded than Justin Tucker.
True. And to defend us on this, I know it was on a rundown, but when the Deshaun Watson story was bubbling up and like all of that was starting, I feel like there's no incentive for us to sit here and try to take a hot takes position on significant matters like this, where like
On jacking.
I'm okay with getting more info. I'm okay with like let the dust settle. So yeah, let's do Justin Tucker next week. But then I'd also like some time to read into what the fuck's happening in New Orleans outside of the Super Bowl, as that might be the headline.
Oof. Tough.
Some rumblings regarding local Catholic
diocese. Cover up.
Oh, I don't know anything about this.
Involving the Saints organization too, like full blown
Helping the church cover up
true detective
sexual abuse with PR and stuff. Very, very strange. It's
Interesting.
on ESPN. Check it out. Okay. Well, on that note, go Chiefs. Fuck. What do they say? They do the
Bomborski.
the Chiefs. The tomahawk thing is a lot. It doesn't go. It's not as cool when you're not with like 25,000 of your friends. When it's just you
He's just
isolated.
walking down the street, just one single solo tomahawk.
Yeah, you gotta be
yeah.
careful.
Let's pour one out for not Watchaholic. Wow. There's an account. Chiefsaholic, who will watch this from prison. You got to think he's excited.
Let's run it back. The segment during which we talk about what we already talked about. Randy has a goofy 2-day hangover.
Yes, sir.
Dave is going to ask Dylan's girlfriend about her rollback clothes next time she DMs him.
Mm-hmm.
Getting drunk after a month of sobriety for Randy is like hugging a long-lost friend.
Yes, sir.
Stop saying that.
KJ was eating cheese curds when the Luka news dropped. The Mavs now only have one member of the Aryan Nation on their roster.
Oh, man.
This ain't the little itty-bitty, teeny-tiny bowl. It's the freaking Super Bowl.
That's what the copy says.
I know. I copy and pasted straight from the copy, actually. Ball knower KJ didn't compare the white TCU receiver to another big-bodied white receiver, and for that, we thank you. Dave was missing some couscous, got him some fiber Haas. Wings sound real good to a player. Tush push stinks, baby. And finally, Justin Tucker's time on this show will come.
Oh, phrasing.
Yeah.
And that concludes Run It Back.
He was
Shouts
tucking.
to Chip Kelly.
Chip Kelly.
He couldn't tuck. Just wearing a sheet.
Oh, God. Just stop getting massages. All right. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.